Guys, this is the kind of shocker that hits like a punch in the dark. Maxie has been trapped in Sidwell's underground nightmare for weeks, and the second that iron door finally swings open, nothing in this story stays safe. I am telling you right now, this is not just a rescue. This is a full-blown emotional collapse, a dangerous lie, and a twisted game of survival that could blow up Port Charles in one brutal second. For weeks, Maxie has been cut off from the world, buried beneath Sidwell's secret hideout, drained, terrified, and hanging on by a thread. And honestly, the way I see it, the real horror is not just that she was kidnapped. It is that nobody knew where she was, nobody could reach her, and every single second in that underground prison was eating away at her spirit. When that door finally opens, Maxie does not just see light. She sees hope. She sees escape. She sees a face that sends her straight into emotional overload. And that face belongs to Cassius. Now here is where things get wild. Under that dim, shaky light, Cassius looks and sounds so much like Nathan that Maxie completely falls apart. I mean, completely. Her grief, her shock, the old wounds, the love she never stopped carrying, all of it comes rushing back at once. She is crying before she can even process what she is looking at. She is not just seeing a rescuer. She is seeing a ghost with a pulse. And if you ask me, that is the cruelest twist of all, because Cassius knows exactly what that resemblance is doing to her. He sees the pain in her face, and it guts him. But Cassius does not have time to stand there and explain himself. Sidwell's people are closing in, the guards are everywhere, and Maxie is too weak to run on her own. So Cassius does the only thing he can do. He lifts her into his arms and gets her out. Not gently. Not safely. He carries her through a storm of gunfire and chaos like his life depends on it, because in that moment, it does. Our guy is literally risking everything to get her over the line and out of Sidwell's grip. Bullets are flying, alarms are screaming, and somehow, against all odds, Cassius gets Maxie through the barricade and into the night. But here is the part that really twists the knife. Saving Maxie does not solve the problem. It creates a new one, because Cassius is still lying to her. That is the ugly truth, sitting right in the middle of this rescue. Maxie thinks she is being saved by someone she can trust, someone who feels like Nathan, someone who is almost familiar enough to make her heart stop. But Cassius is hiding his real identity, and that secret is getting heavier by the minute. You can feel the guilt eating him alive. He is carrying Maxie in his arms, but he is also carrying the weight of a lie that could shatter her all over again the second she finds out the truth. And trust me, that kind of deception does not stay buried forever. Meanwhile, Cassius has already been playing another dangerous game behind the scenes. He knows Sidwell is obsessed with the cold fusion project data, that he wants it badly enough to kill for it. And Cassius makes a very calculated choice. He steals the files. Not by accident, not in a panic. He takes that data with a plan in mind, because in his head, it is leverage. It is bait. It is the only thing he thinks can buy Maxie's freedom. That move alone is reckless enough to get him destroyed, but Cassius goes even further. He agrees to a trade. Maxie for the data. Now tell me that is not the kind of deal that should make every alarm bell in Port Charles scream. Cassius brings the stolen information to a deserted warehouse, the kind of place where bad things happen fast and mercy does not exist. Sidwell shows up looking cold, smug, and way too confident, like he already thinks he has won. He takes the data with that slimy, satisfied energy that makes you want to throw something at the screen. And for a split second, it looks like maybe, just maybe, the exchange might actually work. But no, of course not. This is Sidwell we are talking about. The second he gets what he wants, he shows his real face. He tries to double-cross Cassius and Maxie, and suddenly the warehouse turns into a war zone. Sidwell orders his men to open fire because why settle for one betrayal when you can pile on another, right? That is the moment everything goes from tense to explosive. Cassius does not freeze. He reacts instantly. That is where you see the difference between a man playing a role and a man willing to burn everything down for one chance to save someone else. He triggers the fire alarm, then sets off a homemade smoke bomb, and in a few heartbeats, the whole place disappears into confusion. Smoke floods the room. Sirens start shrieking. The guards cannot see. Sidwell loses control, and Cassius, half blinded and racing on instinct, gets Maxie in his arms again and runs. That scene alone is pure chaos, pure panic, pure soap opera gold. The kind of moment that makes you lean forward and mutter, "No way, no way, no way," because you just know the floor is about to drop out from under everybody. And it does. Cassius gets Maxie out, yes. But the cost is catastrophic. Because by handing over that cold fusion data, he has done more than trade information. He has put the entire city on a ticking clock. This is not some harmless folder full of stolen secrets. This is dangerous technology, the kind of thing that can trigger disasters far bigger than one rescue mission. Sidwell now has what he wanted, and that means Port Charles is sitting on a powder keg. One bad move, one broken promise, one greedy decision from Sidwell, and the fallout could be enormous. That is the kind of truth that turns a hero move into a city-wide threat in one breath. And that is not even the worst part. Now, Cassius is wanted by everybody. WSB is coming after him. Sonny's coming after him. Sidwell definitely wants him erased. So the man who just pulled off a desperate rescue has somehow become the most hunted person in the whole mess. That is the brutal irony here. He saved Maxie, but he may have destroyed any chance of ever living openly again. He is trapped between enemies, secrets, and guilt, and Maxie is right in the middle of it, still not knowing who he really is or why he looks like the man she lost. That is why this story is so devastating. It is not just about escape. It is about emotional fallout. It is about a woman who thought she was being rescued by a miracle, only to walk straight into another layer of betrayal she has not even discovered yet. It is about Cassius trying to do the right thing in the most wrong way possible. And it is about Sidwell, who never stops being 2 steps ahead until the last possible second. But here's the question that is eating at me, and maybe it should be eating at you too. Now that Maxie is free, what happens when she realizes Cassius is not who she thinks he is? Will she feel rescued, or will she feel used? Will she see him as the man who brought her back from the dark, or as another liar who toyed with her grief? And just as important, what is Sidwell planning now that he has the cold fusion data in his hands? Because I do not think this is over. Not even close. In fact, I think the real explosion is still coming, and when it hits, it could rip through Maxie, Cassius, Sidwell, and everybody else standing in the blast radius. And the worst part? Maxie may already be walking straight toward the next heartbreak without even knowing it.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.